Hi fantasy managers, welcome to FPL Team Talk. In this video, I'm going to go through my watch list for game week 24. Going to have a look at those double game weeks, those blank game weeks that are coming up, which players I'm most interested in over the next few weeks. We'll have a quick chat about chip strategy, captaincy as well. So as always, if you enjoy the content, give it a like, don't forget to subscribe. And in the meantime, let's take a look. Before I go into my watch list, then let's just take a look at where I am at the moment, how my team looks now and over the next few weeks, because that is going to determine how my transfer plans are going to go. And according to this week, I'm on a poor week at the moment. I've only had one small red arrow since the World Cup, so it's been a pretty good run of games. I guess I'm due a red arrow, but I haven't given up hope yet. I've still got 6 players still to play in that midweek fixture between Arsenal and Man City, so anything could happen, but I know all those players are quite highly owned. Akanji only got me the 1 point. He was a bit disappointing. I suppose my worst situation happening this week was Luke Shaw on a bench. It was a real toss-up between Cucurella and Luke Shaw. I just felt that possibly Chelsea were more likely to keep a clean sheet away at West Ham than Manchester United were away at Leeds, given Leeds already scored a couple at Old Trafford. So that didn't really work out. I don't think the thinking behind it was too flawed, and Chelsea have been really good lately, so they owe me nothing at all. So apart from that, White obviously conceded. Odegaard and Nketiah didn't do anything. Haaland off captain. He's a doubt for the game on Wednesday night. The time of recording is on a Tuesday, so we've got to wait and see what happens with that. He has an assist already to his name, so perhaps he's already owes me nothing there. And Andreas picked up an assist on the bench as well. So all in all, it's not been a great week. Rashford only really returning with that goal as normal for Manchester United, but it could all change a little bit. So there's nothing I can do to affect game week 23. Let's have a look forward then to game week 24. And my side is pretty well set up. I've got 0.2 million in the bank. I made those 2 Arsenal transfers in game week 23 with Odegaard and Nketiah coming in. On the bench, I could possibly swap Cucurella if he doesn't play for Somerville. I feel like if Cucurella's going to play, I do want him back home to Southampton though. So Somerville on the bench feels a bit of a waste. I do like the fact that I do like him. He's mega cheap, and I do actually rate him as a player. His underlying stats look good, so I do want to find a way into that side for him. I'm not quite sure where he would get in, given the rest of the side. It would be a reasonable assumption that maybe one player misses out. Wouldn't surprise me if something like the likes of KDB misses out, in which case he would come in, but he could be an issue. Trippier, I don't think I'm going to put him in the side at home to Liverpool. Do think Liverpool, even though Newcastle's defence has been really good, do think there's a good chance that we'll still score in that game and a try to at Brighton again. So all in all, even my bench is looking pretty strong. The side looks well set up. I don't feel like I need to make any transfers for game week 24. So the plan would be to roll it for game week 25. And that's when I haven't really got many issues, but that's when I would have to use a transfer anyway. But I do have things that I could do, a little bit of surgery on my side. I've got Chelsea away at Tottenham. That's not a great fixture. And then Kane obviously playing Chelsea as well. Odegaard, White, and Nketiah got that double. That's great. Good fixture as well for Manchester City. I quite like that. But Shaw, Trippier, and Rashford all blank. And the intention was always to keep those 3. I offloaded Almiron. Can't really blame myself for getting rid of him. Would have been nice to keep him for the Bournemouth game, but I had to bring in Odegaard for the double. That still might work out for me. As Martial went to Weghorst, got rid of him. So I'm down to just those 3 players which I wanted to keep. So I'm risking Cucurella not playing. He could possibly come out, but there's a few other players that I'm looking at as well for game week 25 that are also doubling. So I do want to look at that. I'm not adverse, even though sure, it sounds crazy that he's just got 12 points. His fixtures look quite hard. Also, he misses 25. It's a good chance that they're going to be blanking in game week 28 as well. Tough fixtures in between Liverpool. Not sure I want to keep Luke Shaw. I do have a bit of money invested in him. I've got 0.3 saved up in him. But do I want to keep a Man United defender? I'm not sure with those fixtures coming up. I could always wildcard and bring him back in later. But he's one that I am tempted to get rid of. Trippier and Rashford are going nowhere. So that is a temptation. De Bruyne as well, I've got my eye on. But he's got that fixture as well to go against Arsenal. So we'll just see how that pans out. But the teams that I am definitely going to be looking at is we've got double game weeks coming up for Arsenal in game week 25. So those 3 Arsenal players are going absolutely nowhere. They will also have their fixture in game week 28. So 28 will be a blank game week with the FA Cup quarter-finals going on. But we won't know that until after the deadline for game week 25, which is a little bit annoying. But we know that Arsenal definitely play Crystal Palace because Crystal Palace and Arsenal are out. So those 3 players are safely locked in for me, which I'm pleased about. Brentford, now they have a great double now in game week 27. Everton away, Southampton away. They're just top of the form charts at the moment. They've had some unbelievable results. Tony's about the only one I'd consider bringing in. Maybe a defender, maybe Ben Mee, someone like that. But they do blank in game week 25. And I don't have the luxury, I don't think, to bring a player in from Brentford knowing they blank in 25. 26, yes, quite possibly. They are a team that would interest me later on further down the line. Same with Brighton. Good fixtures in game week 27. More than likely, they're going to blank in game week 28. And they do blank in 25. So bringing in someone like Matoma now doesn't make sense to me because I have that blank game week in 25, which I need to negotiate. And as we can see, all those games in 28, unsure to go ahead. I'm not sure I want to bring a player. Have I got the luxury of bringing a player in that's going to blank in 28? I do have all my chips available, so I could actually end up free hitting in 28. But I won't really know enough about that until game week 26. Another reason really to roll the transfer over and keep flexible, knowing if I can dead end my side until game week 28 or not. Crystal Palace have decent fixtures. In all honesty, though, I don't think they interest me enough. Those fixtures don't look great in 27. Villa away, Brentford away, half okay. The only player I'd really be looking at, possibly to say, but Zaha, and he's not about at the moment. So Palace just do not interest me in at all. Liverpool, yes. Newcastle doesn't feel like a good game to bring anyone in from Liverpool, and I don't have any Liverpool assets at the moment. But Palace away, Wolves at home looks good for 25. 28, most likely they're going to blank as well. But 25, 26, difficult game. Can still see them scoring against Man United though. And away at Bournemouth is a game I'd like to have in 27. But is it just a short-term hit? When in game week 26, maybe we know if Liverpool aren't playing or are playing, then maybe I'll know a little bit more about what to do in terms of a free hit. And the last side that I can bring in, I know a lot of people talking about bringing someone like Kilman in, is Wolves. And they have a good fixture against Bournemouth at home. Then they have to double Fulham away, Liverpool away. Not a great double. And they could blank in 28. I'm just not sure about the Wolves. I don't really feel I have a defensive slot that I want to put any of those in, and they just don't interest me in too much. So those are the teams that are doubling. Those are the teams that potentially are going to blank or play in game week 28. Which of these assets are you be most interested in right now? Whenever a team like Liverpool has a double game week, invariably, no matter what his form, we're going to be talking about Mohamed Salah. He is nailed on in that Liverpool side. He is on pens, even though they haven't had a penalty all season. And despite the fact that he only scored last night for the first time in 9 hours, something ridiculous like that, his goal record this season has not been bad. It's just by his own high standards that we're kind of judging him by. Underlying stats still look good. 0.75 expected goal involvement. Most of that is in goals as well. Remember, he's down as a midfielder as well, so he's getting extra points. And those fixtures look pretty decent. Newcastle away is a tough game. I don't want to bring him in for that one. But Palace at home, Palace away, Wolves at home, definitely a game I'll be interested in. And then Manchester United at home, yes, I could see him scoring in that as well, or at least Liverpool scoring. Then Bournemouth and Fulham are games I'd definitely want to be involved in, though that Fulham game will obviously be in doubt at that point. So in terms of his overall sort of season so far, Saka 0.52, De Bruyne 7.2. He's right up there with the very best players in FPL at the moment, even though his underlying stats perhaps are down on what they were previously. It's the price tag that maybe puts me off. But for a double game week, would I simply move to him? It'd be a nice straightforward swap from him, from KDB to Salah. And I don't think there's many other players I'd want to go in that midfield that I know are as nailed on. So Salah is definitely an option. I have to be honest, going into that week, knowing that he's going to be quite highly owned, is a little bit of a scary worry as well. Sitting behind a sofa knowing that Salah's playing a double game week, especially what he did the other year when he came off the bench, I don't like the look of it. He does not quite look as explosive as he was before, and I'm not sure I'd stay on him for too long. But Bournemouth away, Fulham at home, there's still good fixtures. I could definitely be tempted to go to Salah, but it would mean going down to 2 Man City players. Am I prepared to do that? I think with Liverpool having a double, yes, I am. As a straightforward swap, with De Bruyne playing that week, is he going to outscore him with 2 games? I just think he is. And even KDB at the moment, just unsure, is he going to play every single game? With Salah will. 12.6 is a lot of money for him. I do think it's a bit expensive, but is he going to score more points? Yes, I think he will. So he's definitely a consideration for me. Liverpool players that I would look at. The other obvious choice, I think, is Darwin at 8.7. For me in particular, he is a bit of a problem to get to. I've got Kane, Haaland and Nketiah holding those top 3 slots. With double game week for Arsenal, I'm not sure I'd want to move from Nketiah to Nunes and Darwin when they've both got Darwin Núñez when they both got double game week. So it would be a case of having to take Kane out for that week. And he's got great fixtures as well. So would I want to stay off Kane the long term, or would it just be jumping on to Darwin Núñez and back off him? That may be the problem for me as well. His underlying stats look great. Another thing as well, Jota is now back. Firmino's on his way back as well and back in training. So his minutes aren't going to be any more guaranteed than what they are at the moment. It could be that his minutes are going to be eaten into. That is a concern for me. I still think he starts, and he's definitely creating chances and getting in places where he should be, even if he's not getting all the rewards for it. I just don't know. Difficult for me to get to. If it was an easy jump from, let's say I had the money to go straight from Nketiah to Darwin, possibly I would look at it. But for me, I'd take out Kane, and I'm not sure in the longer term whether that's a good idea to do, or do I just burn 2 transfers, bringing him in and taking him out for 1 week. The other player that I don't think I can really ignore, just for the price as well, if I'm looking at Liverpool, I'm going to say this name wrong, Bachchek, 4.4 million. He has now started the last 5 games, scored 1, hasn't got any goals, assists, but his underlying stats look pretty decent as well. 0.51, that's pretty good. For 4.4, someone who's playing in that Liverpool midfield, I am tempted with him. Big differential as well. Wolves and then Palace, or Palace and then Wolves. Good fixtures beyond that. My only concern would be for 4.4, how long is he going to be in that side for? Did Thiago come in and take his place? What is the long-term strategy going to be with him? But for 4.4, I could easily go from a Pereira and just go to Bachchek and then just bench him if I need to for 4.4. I don't mind doing that. He's always an enabler, but he also covers that double game week. 0.51 is a decent XGI. Paying, a third of the price that I am for Salah, but I am probably not going to expect to get the same sort of returns. But he is one on my radar that I'll just keep an eye on, I think, for now. If then I'm looking at a Liverpool player to bring in, I've got to concern myself with how would I bring him in. I could straight swap from go straight swap for bringing Salah, take out De Bruyne. I could do that. I just have the right amount of money to do that. I'm not particularly interested, if I'm honest, in any of the Liverpool defenders. I'm pretty happy with my defence, possibly Shaw. But then when Van Dijk comes back, I'm not quite sure who's going to be playing alongside him. There's talks about Matip leaving at the end of the season. Is he going to continue to play in that centre of defence, or is it going to be Gomez? Robertson seems to be sharing some minutes with Tsimikas, and with the Champions League, I'm not sure if I can guarantee him minutes in both of those games. And Trent is just very expensive, and that will take a little bit too much jiggling around on my side to get him in. So it really would be looking at possibly Darwin. I'd have to lose Nketiah. Not sure I want to do that. Kane is an option, but I could go up from someone like an Andreas, because I think I'd rather keep Somerville with his fixtures and his XGI. Go up from an Andreas and bring in a Salah, or possibly maybe someone else in that Liverpool midfield. It would be easy to go to Bachchek. But at the moment, KDB is an issue for me. So if I sold him, I certainly get enough money to bring another Liverpool player in and get Darwin up front. Mahrez at 7.8. He's just been brilliant. He's played something like the last 5, something like the last 7 out of the 8. It feels like now Cancelo's there. Bernardo Silva wasn't happy that he's got sort of more of a role in that side and more nailed on. The competition seems to be a lot less for his position. And if he's on penalties as well now, as we saw Haaland conceding it for him to take, that just makes him even more appealing. His XGI has always been brilliant, always been a good option. It's just a case of his minutes. If I knew that Morris was playing every week, then he would be in my side. And I think at the moment, I'd much rather have him in than KDB. Doing that releases around about £4.6 million for me, 6.4. Wow, what I could do with that elsewhere. So Mahrez, definitely an option. Then I can go from Nketiah up to a Núñez, or even look to bring in maybe, feels a bit rash, no pun intended, take out Rashford for someone like Salah for 1 week or beyond, because of Rashford's quite got blank game weeks and looking at a difficult game fixture against Liverpool. So that is an option as well. But Mahrez definitely on the radar. We'll see how he gets on against Arsenal and in the following fixture away at Forest before making a call on him. The last player I'm going to have a look at, I've got Cucurella on my side as well. I'm saving money on bringing in Mahrez and taking down KD would also allow me to maybe go from a Cucurella to a Reece James. He got a fixture in 25 and he plays in 28. So he is definitely one that will be on my watch list. Only played 10 games. He hasn't had a great season. Obviously, we know how injury hit he is and prone, you'd have to say now. 1 goal, 1 assist. Not greatest XGI in the world, but still pretty decent. But if you played FPL before, you know how devastating Reece James can be. 5.8. If he starts playing regular game time on that right-hand side as a wing-back for Chelsea, I am definitely going to want him in. I could even get an easy move up from Cucurella to James, but I'd need the cash. But Mahrez would release that for me. That's all for this one then. Let me know in the comments below who you are looking to bring in for game week 24. Or are you, like me, going to roll your transfer? Who are those players that should be on our watch list do you think that I have overlooked? In the meantime, we'll be back with a team selection before the next deadline. We'll look at a free hit as well coming up for game week 25. So enjoy the rest of your game week 23 and I shall speak to you soon.